Hello and welcome to a very brief tutorial video for how to get to grips with OVRLRD's inbuilt scenario editor. So you can get to this editor in-game from the main menu. You won't be able to use it in VR, you'll have to take your headset off to make this work. And it will let you create custom scenarios using the same tools that I'm currently using to build OVRLRD's campaign. So when you start, you'll be greeted with this landing screen. Here you'll see any custom scenarios you've built before in the load scenario section, but we're interested in this side, which is the create scenario section. So first we need to give our scenario a unique ID. This isn't player facing, this isn't the name of the scenario that the player will see, so you can give this whatever name you want. So I'm just going to call it Cool OVRLRD Tutorial, and then click create. And here we have the map Zelizny, which is the 15 by 15 kilometer mega map the career mode and new campaign take place in. Each one of these grid squares is 1 kilometer. I think, is it? Yeah, sorry, one of the little grid squares are 1 kilometer each. So you'll see it's 15 by 15 with a good amount of empty space that's yet to be used. So the first thing you'll notice is that there's a big P on the map. This shows where your player start spawn location is, and you can drag the map by right clicking and holding, and you can drag the player by left clicking and dragging. So to start off, we're just going to pick a nice spot for the player to begin, zoom in with the mouse wheel, and let's place him in on the road near Hebton. So you will notice you can rotate elements like the player by clicking them and then scrolling the mouse wheel. So let's have the player face out to sea. So now that we have the player, let's place some NPCs as well. A quick note, if at any point you get confused or you're sick of video tutorials, you can click this help button to view some more detailed instructions in text. And there's also a link there to the Discord, which is extremely helpful. So I'm sure people will be happy to answer any questions you have there. So to place other units, we're going to select units from this side menu here. And then we're going to double click on the map where we want to place them. So I'm going to click on this road here. And here we have the place unit menu. So all you have here is a drop down, which will show you the different kinds of units you can place. For now, I'm just going to place a tank and a few options. There may be more in future, but for the moment, you just select between enemy, neutral, or allied. We want enemy, and you can optionally give the unit a unique name, which will show up in game if this unit has any voice lines associated with them, or if they're selected by a target tagger. So we're just going to click confirm. You can ignore start asleep for now. And now we have a tank. So we can click and drag that just like the player, and we can rotate it as well. So I'm going to have it face going down this road here, and I'm going to create another one. It will default to the last details you selected. So if you want to create a lot of similar units, you can just keep double clicking like that. So we've got unit 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they can just be heading down this road here. Cool, so you actually could hit test right now to hop in and play this, but we're going to add a little bit more logic here, just to give you a sense of how the different systems work. So let's go over the scenario menu. So this lets you set details to do with the context in which your mission is taking place. So you can choose the time of day. Let's set that to early morning, say 7 AM. And you can choose the day of year, which will have effects. At the moment, it only has an effect on the angle of the sun in the sky, but in future it will also affect the weather systems once those are up and running. So let's just stick it in April sometime. Weather conditions, you can choose from clear, foggy, snowy, raining, or dust storm. Dust storm may chug on weaker machines. For the moment, let's just put rain. You give your scenario a title, so let's call it my cool tutorial. This is the name that the player will see. And then a description, blow up some tanks. And then the Chiron text is the typewriter style text intro effect the player will see when they start the mission. So yeah, let's just call this Disney Islands, Tuesday afternoon. Oh wait, no, it's Saturday, isn't it? Saturday, 18th April. We'll just put that. You can put whatever you like here. And then you can optionally pick an image that will be the scenario's icon if you upload it to the workshop. So this is a good time to save. So let's just click Save Load. Here you can't edit your ID here. Once you pick an ID for your mission, it's permanent. So whichever one you typed in when you created the scenario is what will appear here. Here you can save your scenario. So that's what we're going to do. Saved. You can also load other scenarios. Here we can see that it's been successfully saved. You can create a new scenario. You can open the app data folder where your scenarios will be created, which is useful if you want to browse around the data files and muck around with them. You can save and upload your scenario to the workshop, and you can refresh your workshop downloads. So that's if you've gone into the Steam workshop and subscribed to a bunch of items, you can click here to refresh those lists, and then they will appear in the load menu. Right, so next we probably want to give our player an objective, so we can do that in the logic menu. So this is where the most complex aspects of your scenario will live. The logic can be divided into 4 concepts: objectives, scripted events, effectors, and conversations. So objectives are exactly what they sound like. They are goals that you give your player, which can have win and lose conditions, and they can also trigger scripted events based on whether they've been completed or failed. Scripted events are sort of the glue that holds everything together. A scripted event can be triggered by a number of different things, and it can also fire off effectors to create changes in the game world. And effectors are simple objects which have a target and a mode, and based on their mode they will do something to the target. So an effector, for example, might activate a helicopter, or it might give an order to an NPC, or it might create an explosion. I actually don't think you can create explosions at this point, but you get the idea. The effectors affect a change in the game world, and they are set off by events. The last concept is conversations, which is again exactly what it sounds like. You can record voice lines that are played in sequence and linked to different characters in the game world, and they will play out in the mission just as if you had a play script going in the background. So apart from these, the only other logical entities you need to worry about are triggers, which again are what they sound like. They are areas in the world which, if the player enters them, or an NPC enters them, or some other criteria is satisfied, they will fire off a scripted event which can then trigger an effector or can activate an objective. So triggers are for detecting something that's happened, effectors are for making something happen, and scripted events connect those two things together. The other concepts that are useful to know are routes. Again, exactly what it sounds like. They are routes passed through the world that NPCs can follow. And points are just positions of interest. So you might want to move someone to a place. To do that, you would place a point and then send them there using an effector. So we're going to just set up some simple logic for this mission. Let's create an objective. Create here, and this is your list. The objectives, scripted events, triggers, all of these need unique IDs. You can just give them whatever. So I'm just going to call this objective kill tanks. Again, this isn't something that the player will see. This is an internal ID. The type of objective, we can select from a number of different ones. You've got move to point, search and destroy, defend. Survive is a generic one, which is just the default objective if nothing else is specified. Patrol, startup, for starting up your mech. Tag units, remain undetected. All of these are pretty much what you would expect. I'm open to feedback on how easy these objectives are to use, so please chime in the Discord if you have any trouble with any of these. So because our objective is destroy some tanks, we're going to do search and destroy units. We're going to click active on start because we want this objective to be active when the mission starts. If we activated it later, we would leave this unticked and have some condition trigger that objective. So the description is go get 'em, boys. We're going to give it a critical success condition, which means when you complete this objective, the mission will be completed. And we're going to give it a timeout. Let's say you have to do it in 1200 seconds or you fail. And we'll give it a critical failure as well. So if you don't do it in, well actually let's say 600. If it takes you more than 10 minutes to kill these tanks, you'll fail the mission. Okay, so objectives can have linked entities, linked scripted events, and linked objectives. How this works is, if you want to search and destroy units, you link those target units to this objective, and that's how it will detect whether it's been completed or not. So let's link these tanks. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and Unit 4. Well, that layout needs fixing. Wow, that's bad. Okay, so now we've linked all of these. We don't need to click save or anything. This is all updated live. So when you save your scenario, this will all be accounted for. So now we have our objective, and if we played it now, killing those 4 tanks would cause the mission to end. But let's give it something a little bit more interesting. Let's have an effector, and let's call it move tanks. And the effector type, you have all sorts. Activate will activate a unit. Move to point tells an NPC to move to a point. Most of these are to give orders to NPCs. So alert to player, for example, will notify the NPC notify an NPC of the player's position. Attack point tells them to attack a point, for example. Become tagged will tag the enemy in the player's heads-up display. The rest all sort of make sense. So let's say move to point, and let's give it a delay of 5 seconds. So 5 seconds into the mission, or rather 5 seconds after this effector is triggered, is when it will do its thing. So actors and targets for effectors. An actor is something that an NPC that is being told to do something, and a target is the thing it's being told to do. So let's say Unit 1 is the actor, and well, the target is actually can be anything really, but what we want, since it's moved to point, is we want the target to be a point. So let's just create a point. Oh, it's logic. Place the point here. There we go, 0.5. The numbers refer to elements, so Unit 4, 0.5, just so don't get confused by that. So let's go back to this effector, move tanks, and add target, 0.5. So now when this effector fires, it will wait 5 seconds, and then it will send Unit 1 to 0.5. Easy enough. Let's add the other actors. So now all of the tanks will move to 0.5, 5 seconds after this effector is fired. So now we need to actually fire the effector. So let's create a scripted event. Create. Go tanks is the ID. And so these event types are kind of obsolete. You don't really need to select one of these because they're just sort of not really how the system works anymore. But let's leave them as display message. All this means is that the event can optionally display a message in the player's visor, but if these are empty, then it won't display anything. Although I think just to be safe, let's put on enable objects, which is kind of the default. So mission time trigger, let's say 10 seconds into the mission, this scripted event will fire itself. It doesn't need to be triggered by anything, it will simply fire. Delay on fire lets you add another delay in there, but let's leave that at 0. Let's display a message as well, just so we know it's gone off. So the message will be, hello, tanks on their way. So this is the title of the message that will show up, this is the body of the message, and this is how long the message will show up for. It can also optionally trigger a conversation, but let's leave that for now. So if we link it to an effector, we can link it to move tanks. We can also activate an objective. So you know what, just for fun, let's link this to kill tanks, and then let's change it so that kill tanks is not active on start. No, it wasn't. That might be a bug. That's definitely a bug. Okay, I'll fix that. But yeah, so this is use search and destroy units, not active on start, critical success, critical failure, timeout, 600 seconds. Right, okay, so now this scripted event will activate kill tanks. You can click that to remove it, as I just did. It will activate the kill tanks objective, it will trigger the move tanks effector, and it will display a message. Hopefully that hasn't saved either. Tanks, hello. And let's have it activate after 30 seconds. But let's also, as one last thing, let's place a trigger. So there's all sorts of things that can set off a trigger, but for the moment let's just put player enter. Give it a radius of 500 meters, so if the player comes within 500 meters of this trigger, it will activate. And let's link a scripted event. Go tanks. So now when the player enters this trigger, it will fire off the Go Tanks scripted event. Let's make that smaller actually, 200. When the player enters this trigger, it will fire off the Go Tanks scripted event, which will set off both the Move Tanks effector and the Kill Tanks objective. So it will cause, hopefully, these tanks to move to this area, and it will also activate an objective for the player to kill them. And let's place the trigger right next to us actually, so we can just walk over as soon as it starts. So I think we're just about ready. So let's click save. And let's click test. Okay, we've spawned in, and here's our Chiron text that we set. So I'm just gonna very quickly boot up our mech. You'll spawn in with a default mech loadout. With just an autocannon and a blackbird. So, we can look around. Move around just like a normal mission. And our event set off by itself because we set a timeout in it. So we didn't go to the trigger in time, so the event just fired. So now we should see that the tanks should be over here somewhere. If we look at the map, we placed them about here and told them to move there. So when we come across them, they should be moving towards that point. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I think I see a tank there. Yes, they're just beyond that hill. Yep, Unit 2. So I think they've got a little bit of terrain cover. If we head ourselves over there, should be able to negate that. Yes, because this road is a little set down. And here we are. Not the smartest tools in the shed at the moment, but yeah, so you can see our mission is now successfully completed because we completed the objective by destroying all of the tanks. And there you have it. So that's how you create scenarios in the OVRLRD scenario editor. There's no real limit to how complex these scenarios can be. You can do basically whatever you want with it. And I will continue to update and expand the mission editor because I'll be using it every day to build the campaign. So I'm very open to feedback, and you will see new features drop into it every now and then, I would imagine. I look forward to seeing the scenarios you upload, and head over to the Discord if you have any questions. Okay, thank you for watching, and wishlist OVRLRD.